Hi, I'm Gretchen Bruner, and I'm so glad you're here today on this webinar. I just want to do a quick introduction so you kind of get a feel for who I am. For those of you that are on today's webinar as what I call the talent, whether you're an author, expert, entrepreneur, small business owner, I'm really glad you're here because I'm going to talk to you about how speaking can exponentially grow your business. And for those of you who might be more in the support role, whether you're an admin, a VA, virtual assistant, or an EA, this training is also useful for you because it's going to help you understand how you can support your clients in speaking and also attract new clients because there's so many people out there that want to do speaking. So I'm going to dive right into some content. I will be making an offer at the end, which may or may not be right for you. But regardless of that, I want you to walk away from today's webinar having learned new information that can help you both as the talent or as the admin VA support person. So I'll flip the screen around and we'll get started on some slides and dig right into it. Thanks.
So my promise to you today is to help you understand and to show you how speaking can actually exponentially grow your business. I want to talk to you about how speaking can grow your business and how you can get paid for it, not take more of your valuable time and add more stress. Because if there's a way for you to make sales from one to many and get paid for it, wouldn't that make a difference in your business and in your life? And of course, the answer is yes, because you think about traditional sales of one to one and speaking is one to many. And if you also want more influence or impact, then I'm here to tell you that speaking is the best way to accomplish those goals as well. If you stay to the end, yay, we have some freebies. I think these are really valuable regardless of what you are trying to get out of today's training. But the first freebie, the first value that you guys get is the 52 tips for new speakers and the biggest mistakes that speakers are making today that you can avoid. So those will be for you at the end. We do want to, have your full attention so you can get the most out of this. So please turn off your cell phone, turn off Facebook, because certainly if you are an expert, a small business owner, a coach, an author, a VA, or an admin, and you're serious about getting your business growing and gaining authority through expert positioning or speaking, then you're definitely in the right place. And I want you to be dialed into what we're going to be talking about here today. So really quickly, why should you listen to me? So why do I know about this? Why do I know about speaking and why do I know how to support speakers? About 8 years ago, I traveled 10,000 miles solo with my 3 young kids. We crossed 19 states in an RV in 3 months, and I homeschooled the kids. My husband stayed home for work. But when I got back, the trip led to a book, and then that led to speaking. At the time, I didn't understand anything about the speaking industry or actually really understood how to be the speaker. So I literally spent tens of thousands of dollars on speaker training programs, on various masterminds, on training on how to be a speaker and how to get the gigs. And from many hours and hours of trial and error, because there really wasn't anything out there to show me how to get on stage. There's plenty of training out there that shows me, that told me how to be on stage, but actually how to get on stage, I couldn't find anything. So I spent that time researching and understanding the industry. And it paid off because I ended up speaking internationally and domestically. I appeared on major TV and radio networks, featured in national publications, keynoting, did all of that. And it's great because as an author, I wrote my own book, like I said, and as a speaker, I also got certified in product creation because I believe as a speaker, you can have something to sell at the back of the room. So like I said, several years of research and execution on finding speaking gigs for me, and now I can train you on how to do it because before I had any idea, I had a line of clients all noticing they're like, Gretchen, you've really gained a lot of momentum. You've really gotten a lot of speaking gigs. Can you help me? And before I even knew what was happening, I became the producer of speakers. I moved from being in front of the curtain to behind the curtain. And actually, I had so many clients, so much work that it really affected my health. And unfortunately, I actually had to let my private clients go. Some of these clients paying me up to $15,000 to help them get speaking gigs and more on top of that. But because of these health reasons, I had to let them go, which is great because it actually helped me redefine what my business is going forward. Because to this day, I still have people asking me, please, will you pitch me for speaking gigs? And what I've figured out is now I can train on how to do it, either you as the talent, or even better if you have somebody that's supporting you on how to get those speaking gigs. So let's move right into it. What you get from speaking at events. Clearly, you get, obviously, you reach a greater audience. And by getting paid gigs, you have more financial freedom to do the things you love. You have this weird kind of, I mean, if we were to talk for a second about your ego, you have this sense of pride or accomplishment because now you are the trusted expert from the stage. You are the trusted authority. Your story is heard by many and it's creating an impact. And you think about yourself, you visualize yourself up on stage, and it's like how you can have that reach. And because of that, now you are the inspiration with the ability to influence other people. And today I want to talk about the 3 speaking secrets, almost kind of like Mythbusters, if you want to think of it that way. So the secret number 1 is it is the best time ever to get speaking gigs. And I know there's a lot of people out there that go, speaking is really competitive, and it is, but I'm going to tell you, because of the exponential growth of stages, there's never been a better time to get speaking gigs. Secret number 2, and I'm going to go into these just so you know. Secret number 2 is it's less work than you think if you know where and how to look for speaking gigs. You don't have to do a ton of work to get on stage. It does require effort. It's not a magic pill. You know, we all want that magic pill, but I know some of you might be thinking it's hard to find these gigs, but again, it's not if you know where and how to look. And then secret number 3, being positioned as the expert, as the professional, as the trusted authority is also not hard if you know this one trick that is likely already in your back pocket. And I think that is super exciting. All right, so let's dive right into secret number 1. It is the best time to get gigs thanks to the exponential growth of these virtual stages. And if you think about selling on a webinar or a podcast or a telesummit or a conference call, even a guest blog post or in a live stream, because speaking has changed a lot over the last 10 years. So while maybe the big, well-known main stages are still competitive, and they are, there are also so many other opportunities that are not. So if you think about that virtual stage, it is the perfect place for many of you, especially if you are starting out in your speaking and you want to kind of get your speaking legs underneath you. These virtual stages, like we just talked about, that's a great way where you can work out your kinks. You kind of use this to practice if you think about it that way, because virtual stages can absolutely lead to those bigger, physical stages if you want to think of them that way. Plus, I'm guessing, like me, many of you have written a book and you have this hope or this expectation to not only be called best-selling author, but to also see huge sales from your book. And then you've only ended up to be disappointed. If that's at all similar to you, that is exactly my experience. But there were so many more virtual stages than ever before, so this is a great place to leverage your book or your product. It's an easier and more lucrative since you're now selling, your selling ratio is 1 to many, because that's how you can sell your stuff. It's maybe you're thinking like me. It was like you have a publisher and you thought, oh my gosh, my publisher is really going to push out my book. And did you find? No. Or some of you may be using a speaker bureau or an agency and had this similar experience where you think, oh great, they're going to get me all the gigs, and in fact you haven't really seen a big change. So it's funny, it makes me think of recently I was at this event and 5 out of 6 speakers, well, maybe actually it was all 6 speakers from the main stage, all said the same thing, which is that speaking can exponentially grow your business. And then these speakers literally looked out into the attendees, to the audience, and said, you all should be speaking. And if you don't want to leave the comforts of your own home, if you think about, I don't want to be speaking on stage, it makes me nervous, because there's a lot of people that are scared of public speaking, and I get that. I had that too. But there's a lot of speaking gigs that you can do from your house, like we talked about, in your own slippers, like your telesummit, your conference calls, your webinar, like we're doing. Those are all things that you can just do at home. And for you that are trying to get more comfortable speaking, it's a great way to get practice. So I'm hoping this is making sense. Please type yes in the chat box and say, gotcha, Gretchen, I'm in. Yep, makes sense. I've got my slippers. Anything like that to give me some feedback would be awesome. Thank you. All right, so we want to move on. These are these examples of these virtual stages. So you've got obviously GoToWebinar, Webinar Jam, Zoom, Facebook Live, so free conference calls, Google Hangouts, Skype, any meeting, and not to mention, even a blog post. I think about, Blab has come and gone, but so obviously this list of virtual stages will change as technology changes. But these are a great example. And if you think about calling up a complementary business to your own, and ask if you can be their guest. That's a great way to get some speaking exposure because many businesses offer monthly trainings and they're actually wanting somebody to come in and help them with those teachings because they've already talked about it or they don't know what else to say for this week. And having a guest person come in and do a complimentary training to their business is so valuable for them. And of course, it's valuable for you. So, secret number 2. As the talent, and I refer to the talent as an author, expert, entrepreneur, small business owner, speaker, coach, you are the talent. So you don't have to do a lot of work to get on stage, even if you think sometimes it's hard to find these gigs. Because finding speaking gigs can take just an hour a week, especially if you know where to look. So, for example, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, plus all the other ways to search using Google that most people don't know how to do or think about how to do it this way. It's a real creative way that helps you hone the speaking gigs that are actually just in your backyard. Most experts are small business owners and coaches and authors. They can find these gigs in their own backyard when they know exactly how to do the search. And in fact, you know what? There's a lot of event organizers looking for speakers that are just like you. So even your admin or a support person can follow a system to find these speaking opportunities for you because they're not hard to find if you know how to look and if you have a system. So what do these numbers mean? This always makes me kind of crack up. I just did a quick little research on LinkedIn. These are the numbers that I found when I put in different search words. So over 54,000 results for this looking for speakers. Almost 1,100 jobs as a result for looking for speakers. 616 companies that were looking for speakers. And then there was 90 groups looking for speakers. So I'm telling you, when we talk about this exponential growth and opportunity for speaking, especially in the virtual world, this is one of those ways of using social media, and this was from LinkedIn on finding that. And then, of course, it's not to mention, the keynote speaker. So in a recent Google search that I did with certain keywords, the result for speakers was in the tens of thousands. And of course, some of those, you have to weed out because it's not an ideal audience for you or for your market. But the point is that the search results gave me a great place to start identifying the best gigs for my message, as it were. And for those of you that are on this training that are already in an admin or the virtual assistant position, this is so valuable for you because you can do these search and find all these speakers, and it's like shooting fish in a barrel for you to reach out to them and offer your help for getting gigs. Because if you position yourself as a speaker manager, speaker producer to anybody that's as an expert or the talent, you will be doing them such a service. All right, so secret number 3. Being desirable for speaking events is easier and faster than you think. So, in hopes of getting more exposure or to build your positioning, many experts try guest blogging, they try doing media appearances. Like we talked about, they'll write a book or they'll contribute in other ways to get traction. And all of these are great, and they will certainly help you in your expert positioning. But actually being the speaker with representation can get you to an entirely different level of notoriety, of authority, and certainly of money. So what do I mean by that? If you have somebody that's representing you, right? So if you have an admin already in place and now this is their position and this is their role of pitching you for gigs, that gives you an entire level of representation, of notoriety, and again, it makes you more desirable. So not only will your audience instantly regard you as the expert once you're on stage, but now an event host will also hold you in higher regard because when the email says, "Hi, I represent so and so," Hi, I represent Gretchen. On one level, this host now has you higher up than other speakers because this creates a feeling of desire, which makes getting gigs easier. And you only need one speaking gig to start this momentum. And thinking of this, that first speaking gig, getting that first gig is easy if you have a system. So if you imagine how much easier it is to sell from a stage platform, again, virtual or physical, it makes it easier to connect with your audience. Certainly, if it gives them a greater feeling of trust because now you're connecting with them. You can connect with your buyer and you can make exponentially more money since your selling ratio is one to many, not just one to one, and you can also just be getting paid to do the speaking gigs, but now you're developing a total lead generator for you and your business. And one more thing. For many of you, your representation might just be literally in your back pocket. We just talked about that a little bit. If you already have an admin or a VA, a virtual assistant, some people call them an EA, an executive assistant. Bingo, that is your representative, and I will explain more about that later in this training. So if you think about this idea of having somebody help pitch you for gigs, it's similar to how much better and more powerful an entertainer looks with an agent. Because even a newbie entertainer gets an agent. Because with representation, they look more professional, they look bigger. It's just sort of standard, right? So if you think many experts, small business owners, coaches, authors, they think they may not have that expert positioning that will help them get paid gigs, but it's easy to get that positioning when you have representation. Some of you may have certifications or credentials, and that qualifies you as the expert. And this also now, having representation will help position you also as an expert. So you might have massive experience to qualify you as an expert, but how many of you have leveraged your position, built your position by exploring this idea of real representation? So think about that. Not only will your audience instantly regard you as the expert once you're on the stage, though everybody can think of themselves actually on the stage, but an event host will also hold you in higher regard when they get that email that says, "Hi, I represent Gretchen." Because again, on one level, this host now thinks of you like you're more established, and this creates a feelings of desire, and it helps, of course, getting those gigs easier. So, to recap, we want to talk about secret number one, what we've covered so far. There's never been a better time to get speaking gigs. Because of this exponential growth of virtual stages between the webinars, the telesummits, the live streams, the conference calls, the blogging, anything like that. Secret number two, you don't have to do a lot of work to get on stage. And I know that you might be thinking, some of you, it's hard to find these gigs. And it is hard if you don't know where to look. And I say that from experience because that's part of what I learned in getting myself these speaking gigs. Because if you don't have a system or a strategy, then you kind of feel like you're just shooting in the dark, or you're just throwing something out there hoping it'll stick, and only to end up sort of being disappointed. Lastly is this expert positioning. Being positioned as an expert, as a professional, as a trusted authority is also not hard. Because, like I said, if you know this one trick about having that support person do this for you, it's so great, because not only are they familiar with you and your message, which helps pitching be much easier, but now you have this elevated positioning just because you have representation. And if those of you that are on the training are already the VA, or you already are an admin and you're trying to find more clients, this is the most incredible advantage over your competition, because now you can market yourself with skills to support the expert, the talent, in getting more gigs, because there are so many people out there wanting to get on stage and they either don't know how to do it, or more likely they don't have the time. And that's where you, as a support person, as a VA or an admin, can solve that, to be their solution. It's a surefire way to build your client base. So many experts really do. They want those gigs and they just don't know where or how to find them. And this is to your benefit. I have so many people that have said this to me, like, but I've tried before and I haven't, gotten where I wanted to be with speaking. And I totally get that. And part of the problem with this is where people are going to get tripped up. So listen up. This is where people get tripped up with their speaking. they think they may have just landed 2, 3, maybe even 4 gigs and they're on their way. And so they back off and they kind of just slip back into relax mode. And that's such a critical mistake because speaking requires ongoing and consistent effort. And I think some people say, well, I've tried speaking before and I didn't get the growth I wanted. And I've just did some free gigs and I don't know how to get the paid gigs, and I get that too because getting paid isn't as hard as you think. But if you've tried speaking and been doing it all yourself, this is where the shift can really happen again, because this mistake of sitting back on your laurels and then thinking I've got one, now many are going to come. You still have to maintain this idea of keeping that funnel full. So what I have for you today to think about is a system, or some people call it a program, of how to get paid speaking gigs. And it's really all about helping you get paid gigs and expert positioning fast without begging for speaking gigs and without wasting your valuable time, because goodness knows how many mistakes I made in doing this for myself that you can learn from. And I know too from being both the speaker and the producer of what it takes to fill both those shoes, as a support person. This program, How to Get Paid Gigs, is a 5-module online course. It'll walk you step by step on exactly what and how to get the speaking gigs. In this online weekly training, you will learn how to research your market and find the speaking gigs. I spend 2 modules on the research because this is fundamental. This is critical to your speaking success. Those of you who have spoken before maybe didn't have the understanding of what to do in your research, because if you don't research the audience or the speaking opportunity well for you and your message, it's a moot point. There's no point in pursuing that. Is garbage in is garbage out. I value this at 500, and I think it's actually worth even more because this is the most significant piece to being successful as a speaker, is getting yourself in front of the right audience. You also will learn how to prospect and pitching and how to craft an effective pitch. Plus you get sample scripts, which is a really great way to shortcut a lot of the trial and error scripts that I used in pitching, and I value that at 300. And again, I think it's worth more, but I think we'll start with that. And then marketing yourself as a speaker. So what does that actually mean? We have a speaker reel, you have a one sheet, you have a bio, you have talking points, you have a hook. And to help you get started, I know, because this is what I was doing for my private clients and getting them a speaker one sheet, it often can start at $500 when you're getting a graphic designer to do a speaker one sheet. I've worked with a graphic designer. I'm lucky that my sister happens to be one, so I used her. We created a whole template, a speaker one sheet template, and it actually is a live moving document that you get as a template. Can you send off to Fiverr or somebody else that's less expensive than a high quality graphic designer, and it tells you to put this piece here, here's your bio, here's your headshot, this is your hook. I think this is such a great piece because it gives you a total leg up, and we're not, you're saving time and money because now you know what to have on your one sheet and the elements that are included, and you can just send that off to Fiverr, like I said, and save time and money there. This is huge. You get what to include in your contract or your speaker agreement, and this is so important for your protection as a speaker. I've seen too many speakers go out without a contract or agreement in place to lose money. And I sat with an attorney myself an hour and a half in getting a sample template contract that you guys can use to go out with your speaking gigs. You get a sample workbook, a speaker workbook full of resources and a list of places to speak that are constantly looking for speakers. That's a $39 value, and you get a training guide that accompanies each online module. So now you can see it, hear it, and read it on how to do this, and it keeps you on task and going through the program. You get a lead tracking template, and I think this is an enormous time saver because part of the training that we talk about your target audience and your target event list, and I explain more of that in the training, but understand that you will be making a list of where you want to speak. This lead tracking template helps log all that information so that you can stay organized for best follow through and to really know which leads are hot, which ones are cooling, and where you want to go on your target list. All of those things total up to over $1,300 is a total value. But of course, if you've been to these webinars before, you know I'm going to give you some extra stuff. So let's go into that. So bonus one is that, that speaker contract, that speaker agreement is a $750 value because, an attorney is $500 an hour. Typically, I met with her for an hour and a half to put together some of the most important elements for you guys to have in your agreements. If you think about all of that, so it's researching your markets, 500, prospecting and pitching is 300, your speaker marketing is 500, understanding exactly what that means in your speaker marketing, getting the sample contract and agreement and for your speaking gigs, that's $750. So all those bonuses over $2,000. And yes, there's more. It's not a set of knives, but I have partnered with somebody who was able to build you a 5-page website that's valued at $750, which I think is actually undervalued, but it's a great way to start getting you online as a speaker, and it's a place to house your speaker reel and your one sheet so that any event host can come to that website and look for you. These two bonuses alone, the sample contract and the website alone, is worth the price of admission in my mind. And for those of you that are fast action takers, I'm here for you. The first 10 people, you get a live Q&A call with me because I know that you'll go through the training, you'll have some questions about your unique market, or if you're an admin or VA or support person, like what's the best way to support your talent, and I want to be here to help you get through those questions and see you on your way. So the first 10 people get that live Q&A call with me. To fully recap everything, that's all included. Of course, it's how to research and market and find your speaking gigs. It's prospecting and pitching, including how to write an effective pitch and sample pitches. You get a speaker workbook, understanding how to market yourself as a speaker, those contracts and sample agreements for getting the gigs, plus that website. So everything with all these bonuses is over $2,800. Over $2,800. When I started trying to find speaking gigs, I did everything that I could to learn. And so I joined masterminds, and we all know, likely you too, masterminds are anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 or higher. A one sheet typically starts at $500. Like I said, an attorney to review a contract is usually $500 an hour. I did it for an hour and a half, and all these things help get me on stage, and now help my clients get on stage. But more importantly, they're going to help you either get on stage, or where you as an admin or VA can help your talent. Most trainings out there are $1,000 to $2,000, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of great training out there. There's a lot of really good training out there that tells you how to be the speaker, but I'm not seeing a lot of training out there of how to actually get on stage. And I have private clients paying me up to $15,000 to do this, for them, and they don't they don't give you the speaker contract, which reminds me of the story I wanted to tell you. The speaker that I knew, we're going to call him Bob, he got a keynote engagement, and the event host said, yes, you're booked, we've got you, the check's in the mail. About a week before the event, Bob, the speaker, hadn't received his keynote check yet. But in the meantime, he'd already gone out and spent some money on some marketing pieces, some swag for the event. He went out and spent, I think, $1,500 on unique items for that event. 2 days before the event host called Bob up and said, I'm sorry, we've canceled the event. So Bob was out his keynote speaking fee, plus he was out the $1,500 that he spent on the marketing swag because he didn't have that contract in place. That's why I get so excited about the fact that you guys have this speaker contract. I am not a lawyer. I don't claim to be a lawyer, but it's a really great tool for you guys to have that protection in place for you. Again, you get that speaker one sheet template, like a $500 value, the lead tracking guide, speaker workbook, all of that. So this how to get paid speaking gigs training has been offered before for $997. Yes, you are getting it at half of that price with all of those extra bonuses and bells and whistles for $497. $497 is a killer deal when I think about what I went through to learn and the mistakes that I made in trying to book myself and then also my other private clients. So this is a screaming deal. I would have totally gotten this if I had been you just starting out, because it saves you so much time and so much money. This get more gigs paid training Get more paid gigs training. It does save you time. Again, because you're learning from me. It's priced that you can get your ROI back fast, whether you are the talent or the admin. Because if you're the talent, I'm telling you, you go get 2 gigs at a service, like a Kiwanis or Rotary, you've already earned back your investment. And as an admin or a VA, it wouldn't even take one client before you could get your ROI back. It does come with that speaker one sheet template. It comes with the speaker contracts and agreements, the speaker workbook, and the training guide. It comes with email pitch scripts. So again, it's a total shortcut to starting that communication with event hosts of how to get into the door of speaking. The lead tracker helps you stay organized. It talks when and where and how to pitch for best results. It talks about how you get paid for those of you that have been maybe doing some free speaking and now you want to get paid and paid more. It gives you a list of where you can start looking for gigs that are always constantly looking for new speakers. You'll get a Q&A PDF that's with a speaker bureau, because some of you might be thinking you're ready for a speaker bureau or an agency, and I want you to ask that question of yourself. So I interviewed a CEO of a speaker bureau, put it into a Q&A kind of form on a PDF, and you get that. Plus, you just get a host of other resources. Not to mention, remember, it comes with that 5-page speaker bio website, which includes a landing page and the ability to host your own speaker one sheet PDF and your portfolio page for your speaking videos. So this came back from somebody that I trained as an assistant. So Stacy says, as an assistant to someone who does public speaking, it was important for me to learn the basics of how to best support my speaker, what I've called the talent. And Gretchen's course did that. I learned how to maximize my research efforts to find new gigs, how to put together a speaker kit, and what steps to follow once a gig was booked, plus more, because there is follow through that's really critical for your success. So that's great. Maybe you think this won't solve your problem. If your problem is wanting to get more gigs or growing your client base, this training can do both for you. Again, this idea of there's so many talent out there that want to get more speaking, they just don't have the time or they don't know how to do it. And if you're an admin or a VA and you want to stand apart and be a solution for your client, this is it. If you don't think you can do this, you can. It's not rocket science. It does take ongoing and consistent effort. I won't lie about that. That is where people get tripped up. They think, okay, I've got this wired, and they kind of pass it off and they don't follow through. So everybody can do this. Maybe you think it's not the right choice for you, and it depends. So if you are really a person who's wanting to learn how to be the speaker, then no, this isn't for you. But if you're wanting to learn how to actually get on stage so that you can be the speaker, this is perfect for you. It's priced totally affordably, and that's why it is $497, because I want you guys to have an ROI. And like I said, two paid gigs at a service club and one new client will take care of that. If you don't think you need it now, I really want to talk about that for just a quick second. The thing about speaking is it works on a long calendar. These virtual stages are easier to get in the short term, but the longer, bigger physical stages operate on a 6, 9, 12-month calendar lead. So if you don't think you need it now, all that does is it puts you farther back. So I want you to understand, the sooner you get it, the sooner you'll start getting more speaking gigs, the sooner your business will grow, the sooner your client base will grow. This is from a speaker, so I'm already seeing results. My team is getting me more gigs, and it's only been 3 weeks. Again, kind of results aren't typical, but it's true. When you have somebody that's designated with time and effort to put into your speaking, results happen. Take a breath. Imagine what speaking can do for you, or imagine what getting a new client can do for you and your lifestyle. So as a speaker, what would that extra $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month from a paid gig do for you? Because I'm telling you, the financial freedom and the security can do, and not to mention the volumes of people that you can impact and influence. You want to think about that for a second. And here's the idea. For those of you that are on this training and you are the talent, I want you to start today and get in the game. And what I mean by that is I challenge you to see yourself as that $25,000 keynote speaker today. What does that mean? That means walk into every single room, whether it's a conference room, a restaurant, a meeting, that you are already that $25,000 keynote speaker. And truly, how do you hold yourself? I literally just sat up straighter in my chair thinking about it, right? I challenge you to see how many people you can reach by, getting a gig a week. Try that. That's my challenge. Challenge you to get a gig a week. Then as an admin or VA, you can take that two ways. I challenge you to get your client a new gig, or I just challenge you to get a client that you can be a speaker support person. How many of you have been sitting in a conference, in an event, and there's a speaker up on stage and they're talking and it's on your topic and you think that should be me up there? I know that has happened to me so many times before I was speaking. Like, I can do this. You guys can do this, and you should be doing this. If you can buy this now, it's $4.97 and start impacting. You can start changing and influence more lives and making more money. You can start getting more clients. I can't wait to see you on the stage and hear your message. I can't wait for those of you that are supporting a speaker. I can't wait to hear about how you're helping them get on stage and growing your business. Click the link to get started now. I am so excited that you are here today. I thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you up on stage. Have a great time. Go get them. And really, I'm just so excited to see you. Thank you so much.